1 in 7 families in Colorado Springs are experiencing severe cost burden, meaning they're spending at least 50% or more on housing and utilities. Income is not in proportion to being able to live a decent life. 61% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, according to CNBC. And the city of Colorado Springs is actually restricting their spending due to a low sales tax report for July. So even the city is having to tighten up their budget according to the Gazette. I recently went to a housing forum. They had a lot to say that was promising. Now, I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, but I do feel like if we continue on this trajectory, that the whole system might collapse. And I don't know about you, but I am not a fan of having government and large corporations and hedge funds control housing. I feel like the people here locally should be in charge of their own housing. Like, can you imagine things get so expensive, so outrageous that we have to rely on the government to help us? I mean, according to some of the information that I gathered at this event, there are some areas that have 70% renters, and granted, there are probably areas that have a lot of apartments and things like that. They're building just so they can rent it out with no intention of ever allowing home ownership to be an option. And some residents in some neighborhoods are opposing apartment building because they feel that it's going to lower the value of their neighborhood, or it's going to create some crowding and things like that. So we're having a really hard time expanding and making housing affordable, but also I don't really want to become a nation of renters. You know, there's this thing going around, own nothing, be happy. And I just don't know if that's the right answer, because I'm thinking 50 years from now or 60 years from now, how can they afford a rent on retirement if they haven't been smart with their money, you know, all their lives? Like, they didn't have people to show them how to invest and how to save money or be good with your money. So I'm really concerned about that. And I've been getting calls from people that, you know, can't afford where they're living. Some people that make decent money but still aren't able to afford good housing. Maybe not so much looking at credit as much, because oftentimes people have bad experiences. I know I did. I had a 480 credit score before I got married long years ago, and I was able to get that up to over an 804, I think like 806, you know, that range. And I just learned to be responsible with my money. I, you know, learned how to make more money, develop new skills. But anyway, that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is what we're going to be doing to help with housing affordability.
For some of the folks who have been here for a while, that presents some challenges. And, you know, the way that land use used to be done, the way that entitlements used to be done, the way that certain communities were kept out of parts of certain subdivisions in certain parts of the city. These are all things that we absolutely need to come to grips with and need to figure out, you know, recognize and come up with good solutions to move forward on. But that's also not going to stop the new growth. And that's the part that I think, you know, has driven a lot of the transformation of Colorado Springs that we've seen, particularly over the last couple of years. I mean, Senator Exum mentioned the rents that are going to be there in the village at Solid Rock. I don't think it's every apartment, but I think almost all of them are below $1,000 a month. The average rent for a 2-bedroom apartment here in Colorado Springs is now over $1,500 a month. So that's a big, big difference between that housing and market housing here in our community. It used to be just, I mean, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, where you could still go find a home for less than $300,000. You can't touch that anymore. And that rapid escalation of prices, both in the for sale market and in the rental market, is one of the things that I think kind of nobody really expected that. I don't think people expected that to happen quite so fast and quite so aggressively as it has happened. And that, I think, is one of the big things that we're, you know, trying to come to grips with right now, particularly for people who, you know, have been in this market for a while and are feeling the negative impacts of that growth and that rapid increase in prices.
A couple things that people can do to help with this affordability crisis. If you are in a distressed property, oftentimes investors will come by, knock on your door and say, hey, maybe they know that you're behind on payments or you're going into foreclosure, and they're like, I'll buy your house. They'll buy it from you at a very low rate, and they're going to either rent it out or try and do a subject to agreement. And if you have heard of that before, I don't have time to go over that in this video, but I strongly suggest that you reach out and talk to somebody. Even if it's a lawyer, you can always call me. I've had sellers reach out and call me because they want to sell their house, but they don't want to put it on the market. I have a lot of buyers, so you can sell your house to an actual buyer, not someone who's going to take that home, flip it, and then relist it at a higher price and create more housing unaffordability. Like, sell it to a family, sell it to someone local that wants to build a community. It's going to be really hard to get back down to where it needs to be. So traditional methods of selling real estate, with everything, all the information that is available online, you can come up with creative ways to be able to sell it to someone that is going to build a community, not just flip it, make a profit, and then sell it for even more when you could have sold it to someone who could afford it. So that's just my soapbox. That's not advice or anything like that. That's just me, venting. So this is just my random opinion about the housing affordability. I don't want to become a renter's nation. I don't want corporations to be in control of housing. I would love for people in the community to continue to be able to own these homes. Let me know what you think in the comments. I know you guys have been very expressive, and I appreciate that, as long as we're respectful with each other. But I do appreciate hearing that feedback. There's loans where you don't have PMI. They don't even look at your credit. They just want to see, can this person afford a monthly payment for housing? But when I give you guys those links, no one's taking these classes. You have to take the class. You have to fill out the application. So it just makes me wonder, like, I know that sounds harsh, but I see very few people taking action, taking the class. I mean, this is no down payment, no closing costs, no PMI, so you don't have to pay mortgage insurance for the bank to have protection if in case you default. That's huge. There's another loan through another company. They're helping with closing costs. They're helping with down payment. They're not charging mortgage insurance. So it's not that there's not loans out there. It's like people just go with the first loan and they're like, oh, I can't do it. Oh my God, this monthly payment's too high. I don't want to run my credit again because I don't want it to keep dinging my credit score. It doesn't hit your credit score as hard as people think it does. And it's worth it to just take a look. Like, a few points on your credit score is not going to keep you from your future or living your best life. Like, you can still continue to build credit. You can do rapid rescore and pay off certain things to make it go up faster. Lenders are helping with that a lot more. So I really just want to encourage you that not all is lost. There are different ways. There is a program with NACA that will allow you to use your housing voucher. I don't even know how that works. You're going to have to take the class to figure it out. This is for people with low credit scores that don't make a ton of money, but they have consistent income. Like, they can pay their bills, but they just need a little bit of help. A lot of things that I'm seeing people running into is like, I have really good income, but the credit score is what's stopping me from buying a house. Again, just reach out. There are different programs, but also lastly is make sure that you're keeping an eye on these house bills. If you go to leg.colorado.gov, you'll be able to see all of the house bills there. So make sure that when the time comes around that you're voting for these things. There's a lot of bipartisan, partnerships and sponsors that are going in and wanting to make that housing more affordable, like having a first right of refusal in certain areas. So these are all things that are going to help a little bit, but we really need everyone to participate and vote. I know there's people out there that don't, believe in government and things like that, but just try to get involved in your community. Habitat for Humanity is another option. They do loans too. So just email me, call me, text me if you need help with your real estate. Would love to help you, and I'll talk to you soon. Make sure you watch the video that's popping up next on the screen. I think you'll like it.